both in India and in the UK. I feel like India prepares you for what the UK is about to unleash on you. So India gives you the solid grounding and the ability to learn very quickly and absorb so much information really quickly. The UK makes you independent. You turn up, no one's gonna spoon feed you. You're gonna have to prepare and go into class, and what you'll walk away with is the finest, most cutting edge, application based education, because you'll be really forced to think and you'll be really forced to implement all of that knowledge. So that I can tell you from my personal experience is something really cool. And you mentioned Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh, as it happens, is the recipient of the India UK Achievers Honours Lifetime Achievement Honour, because not only is he an Oxford, but also a Cambridge alumnus and also from the London School of Economics. So you have our own former Prime Minister, and like he said, many other Prime Ministers. You don't know how many heads of state would have studied.
More than at least more than 50, 60 of them.
Absolutely.
These are non-UK people, the entire Africa, Asia. You had Luke Conby from Singapore, who is from London School of Economics.
Absolutely. And, I happened to study at the LSE. Baba Sahib Ambedkar went to the LSE. So there's nothing more a bigger privilege than having been. And in fact, as it happens, it was last time here when the Constitution, the original edition of the Constitution was placed here. And when you think about the fact that you're walking in the same rooms as someone like Baba Sahib or Mahatma Gandhi or Rabindranath Tagore, all of these great leaders went to the UK. So this partnership is quite solid. And I think I do really encourage you to leverage the opportunity. Anand and Steph have both touched on something that I'm very passionate about, which is entrepreneurship. Anyone here who's got a startup idea? Anyone here who wants to at some point do their own business? I've got one hand up there. I'll come back to you and ask you about what that idea is. I know that, and there's another hand back there. And also I find Chennai audience is a bit shy, so don't be shy. Just, you're all laughing. Don't be shy, just jump straight. There's no right or wrong answers. There's no judgment. And I will come to you for Q&A also, so be ready with your questions for that. But on the theme of entrepreneurship, Anand, what are your top tips for students? In India, we have a lot of incubation centers. In the UK also, we have a fantastic startup ecosystem, especially within universities also. But if I'm a young person and I have an idea, how do I go about exploring it?
See, right now, at least in the last 20 years, what has been taught in the startup space is raising funding is the most important thing. What you have to understand that especially US had a lot of money to give away. They were printing money like there was no tomorrow. So there was a lot of free money flowing around in the world looking for places to deploy. So there was no proof of concept. You came up with an idea. The internet bubble of 2000 was one. 2008 is another example. And finally the rates have gone up and the money have disappeared. In fact, you have huge startups which were worth $22 billion now looking at bankruptcy. So the most important thing is first you write up in a napkin what is your plan, get a proof of concept, bootstrap yourself to a level where you can run the company, and then look for investors. Two things will happen. You will fail quickly. See, everybody has to fail. There is no other way out. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to embrace failure. And so every entrepreneur fails. And if you looked at Microsoft, it was not his original idea. He bought .NET he bought the original one from somebody else, and then he bought Windows from someone else. When he think he had the idea to buy it. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you will learn a lot. You will learn to bootstrap. You will not lose control of your company. And if you have to fail, it is better to fail quickly and become bankrupt quickly. Because if you drag yourself for 10 years, thinking that the next day is your biggest payday, and at the end of 10 years, you fail. It's terrible. There's a chap called Scott Galloway. I think you should look at. He's a New York Stern professor. And he writes a lot for people like you, in which he says he had a company called Red Envelope. And it kept dragging. It was an e-commerce venture. And for 10 years, he thought next day was his payday, and he kept putting all his money. And then suddenly one day the company went kaput, and he went kaput at it. And one of the important lessons he says is, if an enterprise has to fail, let it fail quickly rather than drag it on life support for many years. The new system, where money is very difficult to find, will bring more discipline into you. The other thing to touch to Sanam, you are a very unlucky generation in one way. Your lifespans are going to be larger. Most of you in this room may live to be 100 if you are younger than 25. There's a good chance more than half of you will be 100. Medical science will take you there. But the bad news is your careers are going to be shorter. There is not going to be one. My father worked for 4 companies in his life. He was an aberration. In his generation, everybody worked for one company. In my generation, guys work for 3 or 4 companies. In your generation, you will be out of a corporate job even if you are very successful, unless you're at the very top of the pyramid by 53, 54. And then you have to live to be another 80 plus. In India, we have a concept of retiring at 58, 60 and all that. When you go to Europe, you will realize a lot of old people work. So retirement is at around 70 there, I think already. 63, 68, 70. You will find a lot of people working. So you have to understand that you're at some point in your life, you will not have the security of a job and you will have to face for yourself. But even if you choose a corporate career, you will have to sell yourself to your boss and you have to sell an idea inside a company. It's not easy. So you have to sell an idea to your company, you have to sell an idea to your boss. And large companies are more bureaucratic, more difficult to sell. So selling is a skill, bootstrapping, proof of concept, and at a small level becoming profitable before trying to make money. And what you think is an idea may not be a great idea. Everybody loves their own idea. Only when you go out and try it in the world, you will know how much of it is successful and how much of it is failure.
Thank you. Anand, can we come in on this on the other end, which is how do you invest? How do you save? How do you build a portfolio for yourself?
Well, mine, it's not for him. His father should have done that. So let's not go by there now. So somebody like him at this point of time, normally when people come to me, they regularly do come. I tell them start young. You put away, you start buying US and Japanese right now because that's the flavor of the month. Small cap US and maybe any Japanese, large cap Japanese stocks. So at around about $700, $800 per year, month. And then your kids can comfortably go through. The universities will also like you because if you have about 700, $800,000 parked in your education, the university also would like. Because the university likes a mix of people who can pay for it and the people who can not pay for it. There are 2 types of scholarships. One is a need, but I don't know how UK works. But I can tell you how Kriya and other universities work here. There are in schools like Kriya and Ashoka, it's need based. If you are good and you are need based, you will get a scholarship, right? If you get past the cutout space. Now, I do not know how UK works, but at least what I have seen people around me trying to get to UK and other places, what they do, first thing I would suggest, if you don't know, your father does not have a property, the chances of you getting a loan are extremely difficult. That does not mean you cannot go. So in Hindi, if you know Hindi, there's something called Jugad. So you start planning Jugad. If I were you, I would not look at actually put much hope on scholarships. So your father should have a network, you should have a network. So if you get 10, 15 guys to give you an IOU you need 15, 20 guys because if you're going to study for 18 months or 24 months, you need at least 40 lakhs. You need minimum 40 lakhs. So, and which you will be able to, I think you will have 8 hours to work per a week or how many hours?
You actually have 20 hours a week to
20
work during studies and full time you can work during
after holidays. So you should be able to pick out, I think you get paid £8 or something like that. So you should be able to
minimum wage has gone up.
But the prices have gone up too.
We're doing all right. We're out of the recession.
Okay.
We're doing all right.
So £10?
I think it's 12 now. Yeah. 10 pounds for students. 10 pounds
so, okay.
For students.
Students get slightly under the table, slightly below than that. So you can get about 20 hours a week.
I think at 10 quid an hour, you do 20 hours a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So about 80 hours, you can look at anywhere between 600 to 800 pounds. But you should be willing to do anything. including delivery and managing the store and what do you call serving at events. All the kids do that. It's nothing insane. So that will give you.
If I might, I actually did waitressing as
Adam,
well.
I didn't
I
want
now
to.
work in investment management, which is a big bad world of corporate finance, but I've done waitressing.
Yes.
I've at £3 an hour
Vignesh
back in
did
my
that.
day.
Yeah.
I've done not just waitressing, I've worked in Indian jewelry shops in
Yes.
South Hall,
Yes.
which if anyone's Punjabi or anyone knows,
No, everybody
it's
who's
like-
gone to UK, it's like India, little
it is
India.
India. It is
It's little India.
So, you know, you
I
do a
went
lot
there
of these
once,
odd
one day
jobs.
there to see, and I found it more Punjabi than Punjab.
That is also true. There are also East London is also more Tamil Nadu focused than Tamil Nadu itself,
Itself.
probably.
So what you have to, you can budget, say 600 to 800 pounds, you'll be able to get yourself. The balance, I won't, because I do not know whether need-based scholarships is there. By Jugaad from your network, you should get 7-8 lakhs ready. That's why I said you should be able to sell yourself. There's a Tata Trust which gives out loans at very low interest rates. There's a Mahindra and Trust which gives out loans at low interest rates. So you have to go dig. The Tapas used to fund a lot in London School, in King's College. So there are a lot of Indian businessmen who studied in UK and come back. Infosys had some scholarships. I'm not very sure. So you will be able to find low cost interest. I think Mahindra is 2%, Tata's are 4%, 5%. So this will get you easier. Now, so this is a easier way to do it. If you know from your family and circles, you can get an IOU for 7-8 lakhs. And then you apply one to Tata or Mahindra and one of these companies. TVS should have, I do not know. So if you can find that and get about 15-16 lakhs, and if you want a proper visa, this again from hearsay, I have not tried. If you want a proper visa, if you have those 15-16 lakhs in your bank, the chances of you doing better, getting a visa is better. I wouldn't advise you a housing and education loan in India because it's very expensive. It's 9 to 10%. And for 2 years, you will not be able to pay. So the interest will keep adding to the principal. So your capital will go up. Instead, it's better to what I have seen kids do, when that is the kids who went to London School of Business whom I knew. They went from here and then put 6 months or 1 year there and then took a loan from a British agency because it is cheaper. The interest rates in UK for education loans are cheaper than from India. So the skill is to get out of here because, and in UK and in US, education loans are not based on mortgages. You don't have to give a house in UK to get a education loan. It all depends on how well you are, whether that guy can find out whether you will get a job at the end of the day, whether his money will come back or not. So the easier way for me is, easiest route is, if you're a parent, start getting your dad to invest is the easiest, because India does allow outward remittances in droplets out. Other thing is, you will have a network. I told you the most important thing you have to do is sell. Make a list of all your dad's friends. He was in business. So you must have at least 200, 250 friends. You and I, each guy can give you 50,000 rupees if he's in business, if he's in business. Make a list, and I've seen kids do this. And I know people very close to me who have done this. And I have helped them out. So I know this. So 50,000, 25 guys, you are through. And this is interest free. Because the biggest thing is interest.
Yeah.
What will kill you is interest. But be ready to do everything that you have not done here, there. Like she said, waitressing and working in jewelry stores and gas stations. If you do that, but it will make you a completely different person. Whether you work in UK or whether in India, it will make you like a completely independent.
I think what employers really value is transferable skills.
Yes.
So if you can show that you have resistance and persistence and some work experience on your CV, that is way better than not having any work experience on your CV. And the advice here is great because between a combination of scholarships, educational loans, if whichever country you choose to take them from, any IOUs you can take up from a number of people, and actually crowdfunding works quite well. We've seen a number of students do that recently.
Yes.
As well. So you can use crowdfunding websites to do that, including one of my own team, Vignesh, has done crowdfunding.
I know that.
It works really well.
He not only funded himself, he funded his brother through funding.
Absolutely. So I think there's a lot of myriad of ways in which this can happen. I want to take this opportunity to thank our panel very, very much. Can I please have a really loud round of applause, please? As I said at the beginning of this conversation, UK education can and will be transformational, not just as a study destination, but in terms of your life. And that I can vouch for, and hence I can sell this to you with all confidence and all conviction. But even if you don't choose to come to the UK, we'll still welcome you at NISA. If there's ever any help or support you need, me and my team are always here, of course, under Janika's guidance and then the British Council's guidance. You can always come and use the library here. It's a fantastic library. Yes. Anand started by talking about the importance of reading. Do come here, read, engage. It will transform your worldview. I am going to do a very, very short and snappy masterclass here on personal branding. If anyone wants to, I know we've been here a long time though, and I know it's been a long day. But if you are keen, I know some of you are, come right at the front. We'll do a really engaging, quick masterclass. I'm going to give you a few tips on personal branding, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you very much.
உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் தெரியும், ரீசெண்டாக மீடியாவில் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க, ஏன்னா தமிழ்நாடு காங்கிரஸ் கமிட்டி ஊடக பிரிவு தலைவராக அப்பாயிண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ பொலிட்டிக்கலாக என்னோடய வியூஸ் என்ன அப்படின்னு நீங்கள் ட்விட்டரில் ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும்னு நினச்சிங்க, @AnandS1967 என்னை ஃபாலோ பண்ணுங்கள். என்னோடய ரியல் ஒரிஜினல் ஐடி, ட்விட்டர் ஐடி ஃபார் பாலிட்டிக்ஸ் அதுதான். ஸோ பாலிட்டிக்ஸ் சம்மந்தப்பட்ட என்னோட எல்லா ஒப்பீனியன்ஸ், வியூஸ் எல்லாமே அதில் வரும். அதில் ஃபாலோ பண்ணுங்கள். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.